The future is happening faster than ever before at a pace that is hard to grasp. Everyone's asking you as a leader, what are you doing with AI? We all talk about it. What are you doing in your organization? There's nowhere to hide today, whether you like it or not.
Gregory, pleasure speaking to you. Very nice to have you here in St. Moritz at the Chairmen's Retreat and ask you for us to have a conversation, as I know you're very busy doing so many exciting things, and I want to get your perspective about what's coming ahead for this year and your views on real estate. But let's start from the beginning. For someone who just arrived now and is wondering what's Noah, who are you? How can you introduce yourself?
Well, thanks for having me, and that's great to be back in my home country of Switzerland. So excited to be here. Noah is a venture capital firm investing in basically the transformation of the built world and the physical world. So within the built world, obviously, you have everything that relates to real estate, construction, and infrastructure. And we're the largest venture fund in Europe investing in the built and physical world. Started the firm in 2020, backed by a lot of institutional LPs around Europe, US, Asia, and the Middle East, some of which are large real estate organizations as well, who are able to access the type of companies that we back for themselves, for their own use. And we have a portfolio of about close to 40 companies where we invest early stage from seed to Series B. The team is based in London, but we invest globally, primarily US and Europe, about 50-50 as of today.
You set up your firm in the middle of COVID. A lot of things has changed, not just in the real estate world, but also in the VC world. Money became more expensive, more challenging, and even though you are doing well, you are expanding your activities, and you have a lot of companies receiving your investments. What is the main change you see from the beginning of the setup of your organization now? What's happening that is it's something that captures your attention?
Not only did I launch just as COVID was started, I literally announced the first fund a week before lockdown. Wow. And I went from not being able to travel to meet companies or to meet people to hire them. So it was very challenging. And then from there on, we went into this expansion phase where everything became so expensive because money was free. So as a young firm, it would have been very easy for us to make mistakes and invest in the too hot companies that all disappeared post 2022. So we navigated that, and I think then the world became more complicated because capital was more expensive. And so I think it's been an interesting few years. I would say the main thing that I see today, and it's a general observation, the future is happening faster than ever before, at a pace that is hard to grasp. And for someone like me and most folks who probably would be running funds who need to have a 5-10 year vision, it's very hard to do when things are changing at such a rapid pace on the tech front. If you think that 2 years ago we barely spoke about AI, no one knew what it was, and now it's 95% of all conversation. It's used by everyone, whether it's at a personal level or enterprise level. It's just frightening in a way to be in a place where you can't really predict the future because it's happening too fast. And anyone who claims they have a view of what the future looks like, I probably wouldn't necessarily want to trust, because the reality is no one really knows right now. So it's an interesting time. So many things are happening. It's just happening very fast, and it takes some time to adjust for a lot of us.
Real estate is well known by being a very conservative industry. It takes a lot of time to change something, and you are leading an organization that is dedicated to add technology, artificial intelligence, or anything related with the future being more efficient to this very old-fashioned industry. Do you see the new leaders adapting more and being more open and implementing more solutions that is closer to what you do?
So I come from real estate, so I know very well how it has or hasn't operated. And I would say things have changed dramatically. So if you think of the last 5 years, in a way, COVID was a good forcing function for people in real estate to realize that technology was not an enemy but an enabler, because from one day to another, people were forced to work from home, Zoom, and connect. As simple as Zoom sounds, for a lot of real estate leaders back in the day, this was probably the most advanced piece of technology they've ever come across. And back in the day, we used to have, as I said, amongst our LPs, we have some of the largest real estate companies in the world, whether it's large insurers or REITs or developers. And we work closely with some of our LPs that are asset owners, operators, just to be able to push some of our portfolio companies into their operations. I would say what's dramatically changed is since the, let's say, slowdown in real estate with the rise in the cost of capital, there's been a lot less transactions. As a real estate company, you've been sitting on your hands a little bit more. Nobody wanted to buy your assets. You didn't want to buy anything. So I think there's been a lot more time for introspection. And with that comes the fact that organizations have had to think more carefully about how they can improve their current portfolios, their current operation, their current organizations. And that led to them spending more time, resources, hiring different types of people to focus on what technology can allow them to do. So I would say whether it's new leaders or older ones, I think everyone has been forced to spend more time thinking about those things. And then the new wave of AI, every one of your stakeholders, your shareholders, your employees, everyone's asking you as a leader, what are you doing with AI? We all talk about it. What are you doing in your organization? So there's nowhere to hide today, whether you like it or not.
Very interesting. Now, you are well connected. You talk to the top guys in the tech companies that are doing things for real estate. How do you see the future of the cities, the way we work, the way we live? Which kind of transformations you see coming that probably we're not talking about right now?
Fundamentally, I think cities are historically been recognized for the architecture, for the urban landscape, and it's a place where people come to create value. They come to work, they come to collaborate, they come to get together, and it's usually this where we believe a lot of our GDP growth and all those value is created. I think the way cities are going to be thriving or looked at in the future will be how they are as data aggregators and how they effectively transform from physical assets. So think of the buildings, think of the energy grids, think of the cars. All those things are going to become vectors for a technology infrastructure. Cars won't be only just moving people. They'll be moving goods. They'll be moving electricity. Cars will become participants in the grid. Buildings will become participants in the grid. And they all will become aggregators of fundamentally important data to understand what's happening in the city, to serve the people who utilize the city, whether it's to live or to work, and to adapt the city to their needs. And in a way, it's technology which is going to allow us to adapt the cities in a more relevant way to the needs of the future, because cities will become more agile and more flexible by virtue of operating on a tech infrastructure. So I believe, it won't be about architecture, about physical architecture. It will become about technology architecture and data in the future.
There are a lot of rethinking when it comes to real estate right now. I used to use this rethinking real estate. There's a conversation going on together with members where we think that it's time for us to rethink real estate, right? And for the right or the wrong reasons, the cost of capital, the instability of the world, the capital flow moving from London to other cities, etc., etc., etc. Is there any popular belief in real estate that you completely disagree with? Anything that you think that's time for us to, rethink this concept? I don't think that's true anymore. It's not, or that will be no longer true in the next few years.
It's hard to tell, because one of the things that I've noticed in the last few years is I don't hear a constant opinion that's the same across real estate leaders. I think what used to be a very homogeneous followers industry where everyone has the same beliefs and does the same thing, what I notice when I speak to my LPs or some of the market participants, there's a divergence of opinion today around what real estate is, what it is going to look like. And therefore, I can tell you that there's a particular belief that's common to everyone that I think is wrong. I think the reality of the matter is it's not going to be black or white. There's going to be many nuances to how real estate looks like, whether you're in Europe or the US. Take a simple example. Everyone is wondering around, what is AI going to do to the office market once, potentially 80% of the jobs are replaced? Now, the answer to that question, even if we all agree on whether or not 80% of the jobs will be replaced, it's still, not something that is clear. The impact on real estate will be vastly different whether you're in Europe or in the US. The simple reason is US is accelerating and investing 10 times faster than Europe. And so the impact on the labor market will be much clearer and faster, whether Europe is not moving as fast. And it could be decades before you truly see the impact of AI on the office market, for example. So I think it's hard to answer, and people need to just accept that there's going to be many different nuances to the same question, many different impacts from the same kind of triggering event. And we just have to be agile and flexible in how our mind comprehends and makes decision on some of those factors.
Final question. I speak to some large institutional investors, and they all thinking about how AI will impact that specific asset class when they're building a building or putting capital in a fund that will develop something specifically on a different market. Is there any asset class or any type of business in real estate that you think is more resilient when it comes to artificial intelligence? Because, for example, you just mentioned offices, right? There are a lot of question marks about what's going to happen next with the office market if AI, takes a lot of jobs away. Is there any sector, anything that would be bulletproof to AI?
I started the conversation by saying no one knows what's going to happen in 5 years, so I shouldn't be trying to have an opinion. I will tell you, though, take the example of residential. So if you make the case that AI is going to lead to a productivity boom, which doesn't lead to a high increase in unemployment rate, then you have more wealth on one side, so more demand for residential. At the same time, thanks to generative AI tools, the cost of building houses is going to go down 20, 30, 40%. And therefore, you could have a massive boom in the residential sector because it's cheaper to build, it's faster to build, and you have an increased demand as a result of dramatic increase in productivity and GDP growth. That's great for resi. Now, if you take the flip side, 80% of jobs are replaced. We all live in a universal income kind of society. Effectively, we all become, or 80% of the population become renters backed by the government. Then it's also not a bad place to be. If you can build cheaper, faster, and you have this continuous demand backed by the government, it's just going to become a different type of asset class, but still could thrive as well. So I'm always trying to look at things from different angles, and I'm not trying to find the answer, but I'm trying to find the path of least resistance where when I make investment, I can strongly believe that this is something that is more likely to happen than another, but there's no certainty for sure. I can't say for sure that A or B is going to happen, and that's what makes our job exciting in a way, because we can never, just rest and feel that we got it figured out.
I talk to a lot of leaders, and I always feel very comfortable, and I trust a lot of those that say, I'm not sure, and can show perspectives in different angles. Because I think there's so much uncertainty going on I agree with you. It's very difficult to say black or white or right or left. It's very difficult to predict exactly, but I think this conversation was very useful, brought a lot of things to perspective, and I'm sure whoever is watching appreciate that. Thank you very much, Gregory.
Thanks for having me.